Be me. 26 years old, working at Target as a shift supervisor, making barely above minimum wage. Live in a cramped studio apartment that smells like the Chinese restaurant downstairs. My life is pretty unremarkable. Wake up, fold clothes, deal with Karens, go home, watch anime, repeat. Have a small friend group from community college that I still hang out with occasionally. There's Marcus, who works at GameStop and talks about crypto constantly. There's Vanessa, who's a barista with a nose ring and commitment issues. And then there's her, Rebecca. Met her 3 years ago in a film studies class where she argued with the professor about how Twilight was actually feminist literature. She lost that argument spectacularly, but I admired the confidence. Rebecca's 25, works part-time at a bookstore. She spends most of her time online in forums I'm too afraid to ask about. She's not bad-looking, just extremely socially awkward, and has this intense energy that makes people uncomfortable. Wears oversized hoodies, has this collection of enamel pins with anime characters, and political slogans that don't quite go together. She's been single her entire life, not for lack of trying, just lacks any ability to read social cues. I've watched her try to flirt with guys at parties by explaining the entire plot of Neon Genesis Evangelion without taking a breath. It never works. Anyway, we're friends because I'm apparently the only person who can tolerate her hour-long rants about media representation and dating app algorithms. Fast forward to last Tuesday, and I'm at work dealing with a lady who wants to return a swimsuit she clearly wore because there's sand in the bag. My phone keeps buzzing in my pocket, but I ignore it because my manager, Carol, is watching me like a hawk. Carol is 45, divorced 3 times, has that haircut that screams, "I want to speak to corporate," and takes her assistant manager role way too seriously. Finally get my break, check my phone. 47 messages from Rebecca. Oh no, open the chat and it's wall after wall of text. She's sending me excerpts from something, talking about the document and how I need to read it immediately. I'm eating my sad sandwich in the break room, trying to figure out what's happening. Text back, "What document?" She responds instantly like she was waiting. I've been working on something important for the past 6 months. It's about the systematic issues with modern dating and how society has failed people like us. People like us. Already don't like where this is going. I'm calling it the Feminine Solitude Manifesto, a comprehensive analysis of romantic inequality and the men who perpetuate it. I drop my sandwich. That sounds intense. Maybe save it for your blog? I don't have a blog anymore. I got banned from Medium for promoting harmful ideologies, which is just censorship of female voices. Red flags are appearing faster than I can count them. Anyway, you're mentioned extensively in Chapter 7. Chapter 7. This thing has chapters. Why am I in it? Because you're the only man who's ever treated me like a human being. I've been documenting our friendship as a case study. Abort, abort, abort. My break ends before I can respond. I'll have to go back to the floor. Spend the next 4 hours in an anxiety spiral while folding t-shirts. Some kid knocks over a display of plastic cups, and I barely react because I'm too busy wondering what the hell is in Chapter 7. Get home at 9 p.m. completely exhausted. There's a PDF in my email. It's 127 pages long. The cover page has a photo of a rose with thorns and the title in some pretentious font. Her name is listed as R. Martinez, BA in Film Studies. I open it with the same energy as someone defusing a bomb. The dedication page says, "For all the women society left behind, and for James, who almost restored my faith in men." My name is James, by the way. Probably should have mentioned that earlier. I start reading and immediately regret every decision I've ever made. As the introduction is about how modern dating apps have created a hierarchical sexual economy where women like her are systematically excluded from romantic consideration. She's got graphs. There's a pie chart showing her Tinder match rate compared to conventionally attractive women. There's a bar graph of response rates on Bumble, organized by opening message type. She's approached this like a doctoral thesis. Chapter 1 is about her childhood and how being nerdy in high school socially stunted her romantic development. Chapter 2 is a detailed breakdown of every guy who rejected her with names and photos. This feels illegal. Chapter 3 is about the male gaze and how it's impacted her self-esteem, complete with references to film theory and Laura Mulvey. I'm speed reading now because this is too much. Chapter 4 is her ranking different types of men on a tier list like they're characters in a fighting game. Chad Thundercocks are S tier, nice guy manipulators are F tier, genuine friends are B tier. Chapter 5 is about her sexual awakening through fan fiction, and I closed the PDF because I don't need to know this. Take a break, make some ramen, question my life choices. Marcus texts me asking if I want to play Apex later. I tell him I'm busy reading something for a friend. Is it porn? Worse, it's a manifesto. He sends back confused emojis and leaves me on read. I reopen the PDF and skip to Chapter 7 because I need to know the damage. Chapter 7 is titled James Martinez, a case study in male allyship and emotional availability. She's written 23 pages about me. And it starts with how we met and her initial assessment of my character. Apparently, I demonstrated non-threatening masculine energy and genuine interest in female perspectives. She's documented specific conversations we've had with dates. There's a footnote referencing a discussion we had about Cowboy Bebop at a Denny's in March 2023. She's analyzed my body language patterns and verbal affirmation frequency. According to her research, I make eye contact 67% more than the average male and ask follow-up questions at a statistically significant rate. There's a whole section about how I once paid for her coffee without making it weird. It was a $4 coffee. I paid because I got there first and she was digging through her bag. She's interpreted this as radical generosity in a transactional social landscape. I'm having a crisis. She's written about my dating history, or lack thereof. Apparently my lack of sexual aggression and commitment to treating women as intellectual equals makes me an anomaly in the heterosexual dating market. There's a paragraph speculating about why I'm single. Her conclusion is that I'm too emotionally mature for casual dating, but too economically unstable for serious relationships. I work at Target, Rebecca. You didn't need to put that in writing. The chapter ends with her proposing that I represent the ideal template for male behavior and that if more men operated on the James Martinez model, the dating crisis would be resolved. I need a drink but only have orange juice in my fridge. I drink it straight from the carton while processing this nightmare. My phone rings. It's Rebecca. I consider not answering, but my people-pleasing instincts win. Hey, so did you read it? I'm reading it now. It's very thorough. Right? I've been working on it constantly. I think it could really start a conversation. Rebecca, you can't publish this. There are real people's names and photos in here. I changed some names for privacy. You included a photo of your high school crush with his full name underneath. That's for accountability. He was really mean to me at prom. This is a literal doxing document. She goes quiet for a second. I prefer to call it comprehensive documentation of systemic romantic rejection. Rebecca, I'm serious. This could get you in legal trouble. Why are you being so negative? That I thought you'd be proud that I featured you as a positive example. I'm not proud. I'm terrified. You've written a book about me without asking. She sounds hurt now. I spent 6 months on this. I thought you'd understand what I'm trying to do. What are you trying to do? I'm trying to show the world how broken the dating system is, how women like me are invisible, how men like you are rare. By writing a manifesto with pie charts? Statistics are important for credibility. I'm rubbing my temples, feeling a headache forming. Look, I appreciate that you think highly of me or whatever, but you need to seriously reconsider publishing this. I already sent it to a few publishers. My blood runs cold. You what? Well, they're small, independent publishers that focus on feminist literature. And I doubt they'll respond, but I figured it's worth trying. Rebecca, please tell me you're joking. Why would I joke about this? This is my life's work. You're 25 years old, and I've been romantically rejected for 25 years. That's a quarter century of data. I can't even argue with that logic because there is no logic. We end the call with her promising to consider my concerns, which means absolutely nothing. I spend the rest of the night reading the full document because I need to know exactly how deep this rabbit hole goes. Chapter 8 is about her theories on why attractive people shouldn't be allowed on dating apps. Chapter 9 is a detailed proposal for a government-mandated dating program that would pair people based on compatibility scores. This is eugenics. This is literally eugenics with extra steps. Chapter 10 is her personal dating history, which consists of 3 almost relationships that fell apart. She's included screenshots of text conversations. The conversations show her being incredibly intense and the guys slowly backing away. One guy said he needed space, and she responded with a 2,000-word essay about emotional availability. Chapter 11 is about me again, specifically analyzing times when I've given her advice about dating. Apparently, when I told her to maybe try being less intense on first dates, I was perpetuating harmful respectability politics. When I suggested she try meeting people through hobbies instead of apps, I was dismissing the legitimate barriers faced by unconventional women. I was just trying to help. Chapter 12 is her conclusion, which calls for a romantic revolution where physical attractiveness is decoupled from social value. She's calling for people to resist the tyranny of conventional beauty standards by consciously choosing to date outside their league. The final paragraph is about how she's not giving up on love, and how somewhere out there is a man brave enough to see past societal conditioning. There's a bibliography with 47 sources ranging from academic papers to Reddit posts. I close my laptop and stare at the ceiling for an hour. Next day at work, I'm completely out of it. Carol notices and asks if I'm okay. Just dealing with some personal stuff. Girlfriend problems? Friend problems that might become everyone problems. She pats my shoulder, which is the most human thing I've ever seen her do. Honey, but I've been divorced 3 times. Trust me when I say some people are meant to be alone. Weirdly comforting advice from someone whose life is also a mess. I'm restocking the electronics section when Vanessa shows up. She works at the Starbucks across the parking lot and sometimes visits on her breaks. Marcus told me Rebecca wrote something crazy about you. Of course, Marcus told her. It's complicated. He said it was a manifesto, like an actual manifesto. That's insane. It's 127 pages about dating inequality, and I'm somehow the hero of chapter 7. Vanessa's eyes go wide. She's in love with you. What? No, she just thinks I'm a good example of non-toxic masculinity or something. James, she wrote 23 pages about you. That's not friendship, that's obsession. I haven't considered this angle because I'm an idiot. You think she's into me? I've always thought she was into you. She looks at you like you're the last pizza slice at a party. This changes everything. Or maybe it doesn't. I don't know anymore. What do I do? You need to set boundaries before this gets weirder. Too late, it's already maximum weird. Vanessa leaves and I'm alone with my thoughts and a cart full of Bluetooth speakers. That night, Rebecca texts asking if I want to come to a poetry reading she's doing at the bookstore. I'm reading excerpts from the Manifesto. I think people need to hear this message. Absolutely not. I have work. It's on Saturday. You told me you have Saturdays off. She's right, I do have Saturdays off. I'm covering someone's shift. I checked the Target schedule online. You're not listed. How does she have access to the Target schedule? Rebecca, that's kind of creepy that you checked. I just wanted to make sure you'd be available. This is important to me. Guilt trip activated. I reluctantly agree to come because I'm weak. Saturday arrives and I'm filled with dread. The bookstore is this small indie place with exposed brick and way too many plants. There's maybe 20 people there, mostly women in their 20s with colorful hair and opinions about capitalism. I'm wearing a hoodie and jeans, feeling massively out of place. Rebecca sees me and lights up. She's wearing a black turtleneck like she's Steve Jobs about to announce the iPhone. You came! I saved you a seat in front. Oh no, front row at my own roasting. I sit down next to a girl with green hair who's reading something by Roxane Gay. And the reading starts, and Rebecca is introduced by the bookstore owner as a bold new voice in feminist literature. Rebecca takes the microphone and clears her throat. Thank you all for coming. What I'm about to share is deeply personal, but I believe it's a story that needs to be told. She starts reading from chapter 1 about her high school experience. It's actually kind of sad hearing about how lonely she was. Then she gets to chapter 4 and starts ranking men on her tier list out loud. People are taking notes. Someone in the back yells, "Preach!" This is a nightmare. She transitions to chapter 7 and makes eye contact with me. This chapter is about someone special, someone who showed me that good men exist even in a broken system. Everyone turns to look at me. I'm dying inside. Yeah, she reads the part about me paying for coffee and someone literally says, "Aw." She reads the part about my non-threatening masculine energy and a few people nod in approval. I want the earth to swallow me whole. She wraps up by reading her conclusion about the romantic revolution. People applaud. There's a Q&A session afterward. Someone asks, "Is the man from chapter 7 here?" Rebecca points at me. "That's him, James. He's the blueprint for male allyship." I wave awkwardly and everyone claps. A woman with purple hair asks me, "How does it feel to be held up as the ideal man?" Uncomfortable, mostly. People laugh thinking I'm joking. I'm not joking. Another woman asks Rebecca, "Are you two dating?" Rebecca blushes. "No, but I think James represents what I'm looking for in a partner." Oh no. Someone who sees me as a person first, but who values intellectual connection over physical attraction. I'm sweating through my hoodie. The Q&A ends and people come up to talk to Rebecca. I try to escape, but she catches me. Can you stay? I want you to meet some people. She introduces me to her online friends, who I quickly realize are from Femcel forums. There's Ashley, who hasn't been on a date in 4 years. There's Melissa, who exclusively crushes on fictional characters. There's Diana, who's writing her own manifesto about workplace discrimination and romance. They're all very intense and treat me like I'm some kind of exhibit. So you're the famous James, Ashley says. I didn't know I was famous. Rebecca talks about you constantly in the forums. You're like a legend. This keeps getting worse. Which Melissa asks, is it true you've never judged Rebecca for being a virgin? I mean, it's not really my business. They all exchange looks like I've said something profound. See, this is what we're talking about, Diana says to the group. I managed to extract myself by claiming I have an early shift Sunday morning. Rebecca walks me to my car. Thank you so much for coming. It meant everything to me. Yeah, it was definitely an experience. I think the reading went really well. A few people asked about buying copies when it's published. My stomach drops. About that, have you heard back from any publishers? She shakes her head. Not yet, but I'm staying optimistic. These things take time. Maybe it's a sign that this should stay private? She frowns. You're doing that thing where you try to protect me from disappointment. But I don't need protecting, James. I need support. I'm trying to support you by being realistic. No, you're trying to keep me small because my ambition makes you uncomfortable. Where is this coming from? Rebecca, I'm not trying to keep you small. I'm trying to keep you from publishing a document that could seriously backfire. You sound like everyone else who's tried to silence me. This is going south fast. I'm not trying to silence you. I'm your friend trying to give you honest advice. Maybe I don't need friends who doubt me. She walks back inside the bookstore, leaving me standing in the parking lot. I drive home feeling like I just survived a car crash. Marcus calls me later that night. Dude, I saw Rebecca's Instagram story. She posted about the reading and tagged you. I check Instagram and sure enough, there's multiple photos of her the reading with captions about speaking her truth. There's one photo of me in the audience looking miserable with the caption, "The man who inspired Chapter 7, a true ally." I have 47 new follower requests. Someone's found my Facebook and sent me a message. Thank you for supporting women like Rebecca. We need more men like you. I don't even know this person. This is spiraling, I tell Marcus. You think? You're about to become the poster boy for femcels everywhere. How do I fix this? You can't. You're in too deep. Just ride it out and hope she gets distracted by something else. Terrible advice, but probably accurate. I spend Sunday hiding in my apartment watching cooking shows and ignoring my phone. Monday, I'm back at work and Carol pulls me aside. I saw you on Instagram. Well, when did you become an influencer? I'm not an influencer. I just got featured in someone's weird project. Well, the weird project is getting attention. Someone wrote an article about it. She shows me her phone. There's a blog post on some feminist website titled Woman Writes 127-Page Manifesto about dating inequality, names friend as blueprint for male behavior. It has 300 shares. I'm in the article. There's a quote from Rebecca. James represents what men could be if they rejected toxic masculinity and embraced emotional intelligence. I need to change my name and move to Alaska. My phone starts blowing up with notifications. People are finding my social media and commenting on old posts. And as someone commented on a photo of me at the beach from 2 years ago. This is what non-threatening masculine energy looks like. I'm experiencing fame in the worst possible way. Vanessa texts, "You're viral, LOL." This isn't funny. It's a little funny. You're like the accidental patron saint of lonely women. I want to die. Dramatic, but understandable. I make it through my shift by avoiding all customer interaction and hiding in the stockroom. Get home, and there's a message from Rebecca. I'm sorry about how I acted Saturday. I was overwhelmed. Can we talk? I should say no. I should block her and move on with my life. But I'm an idiot with poor boundaries, so I say yes. She comes over an hour later with Chinese takeout. We sit on my couch eating orange chicken in awkward silence. I know this has been a lot, she finally says. An understatement of the century. I got carried away with the manifesto thing. I just wanted someone to listen. People are listening. Maybe too many people. She nods. I didn't expect it to blow up like this. I thought maybe a few people online would care. Rebecca, you named real people, included photos, analyzed private conversations. This was always going to be controversial. I know. I see that now. Progress. Are you going to take it down? She hesitates. I can't. I sent it to too many people. It's out there now. Great. So I'm permanently documented in Femcel literature. but I can stop promoting it, let it fade away naturally. I would really appreciate that. We finish eating and she leaves with a hug that lasts slightly too long. I think maybe this is over. Wrong. But my face when my friend wrote a 127-page manifesto analyzing my friendship and accidentally made me famous in online Femcel communities. Be me. 2 weeks after the bookstore reading from hell, things have calmed down slightly. The article stopped circulating. My social media notifications have decreased from overwhelming to merely annoying. I'm back to my normal routine of work, home, sleep, repeat. Rebecca has been quiet, which is honestly suspicious. She's not the type to just drop something she's passionate about. I'm at Target dealing with a customer who's convinced we're hiding the good Nintendo Switches in the back. Sir, if we had them, they'd be on the shelf. We don't have a secret stash. He doesn't believe me and demands to speak to Carol. Carol gives him the exact same answer, but with more authority. He leaves angry, and I return to organizing the toy section. My coworker Tyler comes up. He's 19 and always smells like energy drinks. Yo, James. Isn't that your friend? He points toward the entrance. It's Rebecca, walking in with purpose, wearing a leather jacket I've never seen before. She looks different, hairstyled, wearing makeup, confidence in her step. Oh no. I try to hide behind a display of Barbie dolls, but she spots me. James, I need to talk to you. Several customers turn to look. I walk over trying to minimize the scene. Rebecca, I'm working. Can this wait? No, it's important. I got an offer. An offer for what? A publisher wants to publish the Manifesto. My soul leaves my body. They're a small feminist press based in Portland. They loved it. They think it could be really impactful. I'm frozen. Can't form words. Isn't this amazing? My work is going to be a real book. Carol appears from nowhere. James, is everything okay here? Yeah, just a friend sharing some news. Rebecca extends her hand to Carol. I'm Rebecca. James is actually the subject of an entire chapter in my book about modern dating. Carol looks at me with confusion. You're in a book about dating? It's complicated. Rebecca pulls out her phone and shows Carol the publisher's email. They want to release it in 3 months with a small print run. There's going to be a launch event and everything. Carol reads the email, then looks at me. James, we need to talk in the office. I follow Carol to the back office while Rebecca waits by the registers. Explain what's happening. I tell her the abbreviated version. Friend wrote Manifesto. I'm featured. It's going viral in weird online spaces. Now it's becoming a real book. Carol processes this information. Is this going to affect your work here? I hope not. Because corporate doesn't love controversy. We had an employee who went viral for a TikTok dance and they made him take it down. This is different. I didn't choose this. She sighs. Just keep it away from the store. I don't need this becoming a thing. I return to Rebecca, who's browsing the book section. We need to talk privately, not here. I'm off in 2 hours. Can you wait? She agrees and says she'll go to the Starbucks across the parking lot. The next 2 hours drag by. Tyler keeps asking questions. So you're like famous for being nice to girls? I'm not famous. My girlfriend saw the article. She thinks it's sweet. It's not sweet, it's invasive. Yeah, but at least someone thinks you're cool. I can't argue with teenager logic, so I just nod. Shift finally ends, and I meet Rebecca at Starbucks. Vanessa is working and gives me a knowing look. We sit in the corner booth. Rebecca, you said you were going to let this fade away. I was, but then this opportunity came up and I can't just ignore it. Yes, you can. You absolutely can ignore it. Why would I ignore my chance to be published? Because the book includes private information about real people without their consent. I told you I changed some names. You kept my name. She looks down at her coffee. Because you're not being criticized, you're being praised. I thought you'd see this as a compliment. Being psychoanalyzed for 23 pages without permission isn't a compliment. It's a violation. That's dramatic. I'm getting frustrated now. Rebecca, what do you want from me? I want your support, and I want you to be happy for me. I can't be happy about something that makes me uncomfortable. So you want me to give up my dreams because you're uncomfortable. This is becoming circular. Vanessa brings over 2 cake pops we didn't order. On the house, you both look like you need sugar. She retreats quickly, smart woman. Look, I'm not trying to ruin your dreams, but you need to consider the consequences of publishing this. I've considered them. The publisher has a legal team. They said it's fine. It might be legal, but that doesn't make it right. We sit in silence for a moment. I'm doing this with or without your blessing, she finally says. I know, but I'd really like to have it. I can't give you what you're asking for. She stands up, grabs her bag. Then I guess we're done here. She leaves and I'm alone with 2 cake pops and an existential crisis. Vanessa comes over. That looked rough. She's publishing the manifesto. I heard, the whole store heard. She's not exactly quiet. What do I do? Honestly, nothing. You've told her how you feel, she's made her choice, now you make yours. What choice do I have? You can cut her off or you can accept it. There's no middle ground here. Wise words from someone who once dated 3 people simultaneously without telling any of them. I go home and text Marcus. Rebecca's publishing the manifesto. R.I.P. to your privacy, bro. Any advice? Lawyer up? I can't afford a lawyer. I work at Target. Then pray it doesn't sell well. Thanks, Marcus. Very helpful. I spend the evening researching if I have any legal recourse. It turns out, unless she's defaming me or revealing private facts that are highly offensive, I don't have much ground to stand on. The stuff she wrote is mostly positive and based on public interactions. I'm legally screwed. Next few weeks are tense. Rebecca stops texting me. I hear through Marcus that she's busy with editing and publicity stuff. Apparently there's going to be podcast interviews I mentioned in the podcast descriptions. One is called Women Who Write, the Dating Manifesto, Taking the Internet by Storm. I listened to it against my better judgment. Rebecca talks about her inspiration, her research methodology, and her hopes for the book's impact. The host asks about Chapter 7. Tell us about this James character. He seems to be quite important to your thesis. James is someone I met in college. He's probably the only man who's consistently treated me with genuine respect and kindness without expecting anything in return. And you documented your friendship as a case study? Exactly. I wanted to show what positive male behavior looks like in contrast to the toxic patterns I've experienced elsewhere. Has James read the manifesto? He has, and while he's been supportive in his own way, I think he struggles with being held up as an example. Supportive in my own way, that's one way to describe our last conversation. The podcast wraps up with Rebecca reading an excerpt from Chapter 7. It's the part about me paying for coffee. The host calls it beautifully mundane. I hate everything. Work becomes weird because people keep recognizing me. A customer approaches while I'm restocking shelves. Excuse me, are you James from the manifesto? I don't know what you're talking about. You look just like the photo on Rebecca's Instagram. I need to make my Instagram private. I'm just here to help you find products. She looks disappointed but asks where the towels are. Tyler finds this hilarious. Dude, you're being recognized in public. That's wild. It's not wild, it's disturbing. Can you get me Rebecca's autograph? No. Carol pulls me aside again. I'm getting questions about you from other employees. What should I tell them? Tell them I'm a regular person who got caught up in something weird. That's not very specific. It's all I've got. She looks sympathetic for once. For what it's worth, I read some of that manifesto online. She does seem to genuinely care about you. That makes it worse somehow. Yeah, and I can see that. 2 months pass and the book's release date approaches. I've successfully avoided Rebecca entirely. Then Marcus invites me to a hangout at his place. Just the usual crew, nothing crazy. I show up and Rebecca is there. Marcus, you absolute traitor. Surprise, I thought you two should talk before the book comes out, Marcus says. Vanessa is also there looking guilty. We staged an intervention, she admits. Rebecca looks as uncomfortable as I feel. I didn't know they were going to do this, she says. We're sitting in Marcus's living room that smells like weed and pizza. His gaming setup is running some idle game in the background. Okay, so both of you are being stubborn, Marcus starts. I'm being stubborn? She wrote a book about me without asking. And you're acting like I committed a crime, Rebecca counters. Can we all just calm down? Vanessa interjects. We sit in hostile silence. Rebecca, you need to understand why James is upset, Vanessa says gently. I do understand, but I don't think it's fair that I have to give up my work because he's uncomfortable with positive attention. It's not about the attention being positive, it's about consent, I say. You're in public settings in the book. I didn't write about anything private. Our conversations were private. You documented them without telling me. I was taking notes for research. Normal people don't take research notes on their friends. Marcus holds up his hands. Okay, time out. Both of you have valid points. Can we find a compromise? What compromise? I ask. Chetch, what if Rebecca includes a disclaimer in the book saying you didn't consent to being featured? Rebecca considers this. The publisher might go for that. And what if she donates a portion of proceeds to a charity you choose? Vanessa adds. I'm not making any money from this. The advance was tiny, Rebecca says. Then what do you get out of publishing it? I ask. She looks at me with surprising vulnerability. Validation, proof that my experiences matter, a chance to connect with other people who feel invisible. It's hard to stay mad when she puts it like that. I get that you're hurting, Rebecca, but this isn't the right way to heal. Then what is? Therapy hasn't worked, dating apps haven't worked, self-improvement hasn't worked. At least writing helps me process it. Writing can help without publishing. Yeah, you can write for yourself, but I don't want to just write for myself. I want to contribute something meaningful. We're going in circles again. Marcus orders pizza and we take a break from the heavy conversation. While eating, Rebecca and I end up on the balcony alone. I'm sorry I made you uncomfortable, she says quietly. I'm sorry I haven't been more supportive of your writing. You don't have to be sorry for having boundaries. This might be the most self-aware thing she's ever said. Can I ask you something honestly? I venture. Sure. Do you have feelings for me? She's quiet for a long time. I don't know, maybe. You're the only guy who's ever made me feel valued, and I guess I couldn't tell if that was friendship or something more. At least she's being honest. And I think you might be projecting your desire for romantic connection onto our friendship. My therapist said the same thing. You should listen to your therapist. I know, it's just hard to separate wanting a relationship from wanting someone who treats me like you do. I feel bad for her despite everything. You deserve someone who's actually interested in you romantically, not just someone who's nice to you. That's what everyone says, but where are these people? I've been looking for years. Maybe you're looking in the wrong places, or maybe you're trying too hard. Spoken like someone who doesn't understand what it's like to be completely invisible to the opposite sex. She's not wrong. I've had a few relationships. Nothing serious, but enough to know what mutual attraction feels like. I can't fix your dating life, Rebecca. I wish I could, but I can't. I know, I'm not asking you to. We go back inside and the group dynamic is less tense. Marcus puts on a movie and we all pretend things are normal. Rebecca leaves around midnight with a small hug. I'm still publishing the book, she says. I know, but I'll add the disclaimer. Thanks. After she leaves, Vanessa asks, do you think she'll be okay? Eventually, maybe. I don't know. Do you think you'll be okay? Ask me after the book comes out. 3 weeks later, publication day arrives. I wake up to 200 notifications. The book is available on Amazon and already has reviews. Someone gave it 5 stars. A raw and honest look at modern dating from a woman's perspective. Someone gave it 1 star. Unhinged rambling with concerning undertones. Both are probably accurate. And I go to work trying to ignore my phone. Tyler shows me that the book is trending on Bookstagram. People are posting aesthetic photos of it with coffee and plants. There's a whole hashtag, read the Manifesto. I'm living in a simulation. During lunch, I check Rebecca's Instagram. She's posted a photo of her holding the book with the caption, "My truth is finally in print. Thank you to everyone who believed in this project." There's 800 likes and counting. Comments range from supportive to critical to concerningly parasocial. One comment says, "Where can I find a James?" Another says, "This book saved my life." It's been out for 6 hours. I get a text from an unknown number. "Hi, I got your number from Rebecca's acknowledgements page where she thanks you. Yet I wanted to reach out and say your friendship with her is inspiring." She put my thanks in the acknowledgements. I checked the book preview on Amazon. Sure enough, special thanks to James Martinez for being the inspiration for Chapter 7 and for demonstrating what authentic male friendship looks like. My full name, in print, in a book about femcels. I'm going to be associated with this forever. Carol calls me to her office again. "James, I need you to see something." She shows me her computer. Someone's made a TikTok about the book and it includes the photo of me from Rebecca's Instagram. It has 50,000 views. The caption is, "This is James, the man who inspired the dating manifesto. He works at Target." Which Target is not specified, but people are guessing in the comments. "We need to do damage control," Carol says. "But how?" "I'm going to request that corporate releases a statement saying you're not available for interviews or appearances regarding the book." That's the thing they do. It is now. The TikTok gets taken down for privacy violations, but not before being duetted 30 times. I'm a meme? I'm literally a meme about being a decent person. The universe has a sick sense of humor. That evening there's a book launch event at the same bookstore where Rebecca did the reading. I'm not going. I'm absolutely not going. Marcus texts, "You should go, support your friend." She's not my friend right now. Come on, man. This is her moment. Be the bigger person. I hate when Marcus is right. I show up late, standing in the back. The place is packed. There's at least 60 people here. Rebecca is at a table signing books, looking genuinely happy. But the bookstore owner is giving a speech about the importance of diverse voices in feminist literature. People are applauding. Rebecca starts her reading with chapter 1 again. I've heard this before, but the crowd is reacting like it's revolutionary. She skips to chapter 7, and people literally gasp when she reveals I'm in the audience. James, can you stand up? She asks. I want to run. I slowly stand and wave. People applaud. I sit back down as fast as possible. The Q&A is even more intense than last time. Someone asks, what's your relationship with James now? We're navigating a complicated friendship. He's been very patient with this whole process. Patient is one word for it. Another person asks, do you think you and James could ever date? Rebecca looks directly at me. I don't think so, and that's okay. Yet not every connection has to be romantic. Growth, actual growth from Rebecca. After the event, she finds me. You came. Marcus guilted me into it. I'm glad, it means a lot. She hands me a signed copy of the book. The inscription says, for James, thank you for being exactly who you are, even when I couldn't see past my own issues. It's surprisingly thoughtful. I'm sorry for everything, she says. Which part? All of it. I was so focused on my own pain that I didn't consider how this would affect you. I appreciate that. I don't expect us to go back to how things were, but I hope eventually we can be friends again. Maybe, we'll see. She hugs me and I let her. I leave the event feeling complicated. Spend the next week watching the book gain traction online. It gets covered by a few feminist blogs and podcasts. Yet the consensus is mixed. Some praise it as brave, others criticize it as self-indulgent. Rebecca handles the criticism better than I expected. She posts responses that are measured and thoughtful. Maybe she's actually learning from this experience. Or maybe she's just gotten better at social media. Either way, the attention starts to die down after a month. The book sells a few thousand copies, which is apparently decent for a small press. I stop getting recognized at work. My social media returns to normal levels of quiet. Life goes back to being mundane. Except now I'm forever documented in a published book about dating inequality. My grandkids are going to find this someday and have questions. Rebecca and I text occasionally, nothing deep, just memes and random updates. She tells me she started dating someone she met at a writing workshop. He's nice, kind of quiet, really into poetry. That's great. I'm trying not to overwhelm him with intensity. Good plan. Maybe she'll actually make this one work. Marcus jokes that I should write my own manifesto. Call it How I Accidentally Became the Patron Saint of Femcels. Absolutely not. Vanessa says she's proud of how I handled everything. You could have been a jerk about it, but you weren't. I was too confused to be a jerk. Still counts. My face when I became a case study in a feminist manifesto and somehow survived the experience relatively intact. Be me. 6 months after the book release. Life has returned to semi-normal. I'm still at Target, still living in my apartment above the Chinese restaurant, still single and okay with it. The manifesto has faded from public consciousness except in certain corners of the internet where it's become this weird cult classic. Occasionally someone will message me asking if I'm the real James, but I've learned to ignore them. Rebecca and I have achieved a weird equilibrium where we're friendly but not close, more like acquaintances who share trauma. Her relationship with the poetry guy lasted 2 months before she realized he was emotionally unavailable, which might have been code for couldn't handle her intensity. I'm working a closing shift on a random Thursday when my phone rings. It's a number I don't recognize, but I answer anyway because I'm bored. Hello, is this James Martinez? Depends who's asking. My name is Lauren. I'm a producer for the podcast Modern Love Stories. We'd love to have you on the show. Oh no, not this again. I'm not interested in doing interviews about the manifesto. Actually, we want to interview you about your perspective on the whole situation. We think it would be valuable to hear from you directly. This is different. Usually people just want to talk about Rebecca. What kind of questions are we talking about? Just your experience being featured in the book, how it affected your life, what you learned from it, very low pressure. Low pressure and podcast interview don't usually go together. I'll think about it. Great. I'll email you the details. She hangs up and I'm left wondering if this is a terrible idea. I text Marcus. Podcast wants to interview me about the manifesto situation. Do it. You could set the record straight. Or I could just continue living in obscurity. Boring. Take the opportunity. I text Vanessa. Should I do a podcast interview? Only if you're ready to talk about it publicly. Don't let them pressure you. More reasonable advice. I spend my break reading about the podcast. It's actually legitimate. They interview people about complicated relationship dynamics and modern dating culture. Previous episodes include I married my high school bully and my therapist is now my mother-in-law, so my situation would fit right in. I email Lauren back and agree to the interview. We schedule it for next week. And I immediately regret this decision, but it's too late to back out without looking flaky. Spend the next few days preparing what I want to say. I don't want to trash Rebecca, but I also don't want to pretend everything was fine. The interview is over Zoom, which is slightly less terrifying than in person. Lauren appears on screen. She's in her 30s, has that podcast host energy, where everything she says sounds slightly performative. James, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for having me. We start with basic background, how I met Rebecca, what our friendship was like before the Manifesto. So when she first told you about the document, what was your reaction? Honestly, I thought it was a joke at first, or maybe a creative writing project. I didn't realize she was serious about publishing it. And when you read it, specifically chapter 7 about you, how did that feel? Surreal, uncomfortable, invasive, but also kind of flattering in a weird way? It's complicated. Rebecca portrayed you very positively. Did that make it easier or harder? Harder, actually, because I couldn't even be mad about being misrepresented. I was just being represented without consent. Lauren nods like this is profound. There's been a lot of discussion online about whether Rebecca crossed boundaries. What's your take? I choose my words carefully. I think Rebecca was in a lot of pain and needed an outlet. I don't think she had malicious intent, but impact matters more than intent. Have you two talked about this? Yeah, multiple times. It's been a process of understanding each other's perspectives. We talked for 45 minutes about boundaries, friendship, as internet culture, and what it's like to become a symbol for something you didn't choose. Lauren asks the question I've been dreading. Do you think Rebecca had romantic feelings for you? I think she struggled to separate appreciation for basic kindness from romantic interest, which says more about her dating experiences than about our friendship. That's very diplomatic. I've had a lot of time to think about it. We wrap up and Lauren thanks me for my honesty. This will air next month. We'll send you the episode link before it goes live. Great. Something to look forward to with anxiety. I tell Carol about the interview because I figure she should know. As long as you didn't mention Target by name, I don't care. I was very careful not to. Good. The last thing we need is more attention. The episode airs on a Tuesday, and I wake up to 400 notifications. People are talking about it. The podcast has a bigger audience than I realized. Someone on Twitter. Finally hearing James's side of the Manifesto story, he handled this with so much grace. Someone else. Honestly, both James and Rebecca seemed like they were doing their best in a weird situation. Someone else. Can we stop romanticizing the Manifesto? It was a boundary violation regardless of intent. All valid takes. Rebecca texts me. Listening to your interview, you were really fair. Thank you. Just told my truth. I know, and I appreciate that you didn't villainize me. Wasn't trying to. I'm proud of how we've both grown from this mess. Weirdly, I'm proud too. The interview leads to a few more opportunities. If someone wants me to write an article about male friendship and emotional labor. A relationship therapist asks if I'll be a guest on her YouTube channel. I decline all of them because I'm not trying to build a brand off this experience. Tyler thinks I'm crazy for turning down opportunities. Dude, you could be an influencer. You're already mildly famous. I don't want to be famous for being someone's emotional support friend. Fair point. Work continues as normal. I get a small raise, which is nice. Carol tells me I'm being considered for assistant manager training. You've shown maturity handling difficult situations. Corporate likes that. Getting promoted because of Manifesto drama was not on my bingo card, but I'll take it. A month after the podcast, I'm at the grocery store when I run into someone from the book launch. It's Ashley. She's one of Rebecca's forum friends. James, oh my God, I loved your podcast interview. Oh, thanks. I'm actually doing a lot better now. I started therapy and joined a hiking group, met some cool people. That's great. Rebecca's book kind of woke me up to how much I was wallowing, so thank you for being part of that story. This is the most positive interaction I've had related to the Manifesto. I'm glad it helped. We chat for a few more minutes and part ways. Maybe some good did come from this nightmare after all. I text Rebecca. Just ran into Ashley. She seems like she's doing well. Yeah, she's been really working on herself. I'm proud of her. How are you doing? Better. I'm writing again, but keeping it private this time, just for me. Character development. That's probably healthier. Definitely. And also, I'm seeing a new therapist who specializes in attachment issues. That's good. She helped me realize I was using the manifesto as a way to avoid actual vulnerability. This is the most self-aware Rebecca's ever been. I'm glad you're getting help. Me too. And James? Yeah? I'm sorry, like genuinely sorry for everything. I know, we're good. We talked for a bit longer about normal stuff. She's thinking about going back to school, maybe getting a degree in counseling. I feel like I could help people who are going through what I went through. You probably could. You've definitely learned a lot. 2 months later, I'm invited to a small gathering at Marcus's place. Rebecca will be there with her new boyfriend. Apparently this one is sticking. They've been together for 3 months. I show up with beer and low expectations. But Rebecca's boyfriend is named David. He's quiet, wears glasses, teaches middle school English. He's perfectly nice and seems genuinely into her. Rebecca talks about you a lot, he says. All good things, I hope. Mostly she's very grateful for your friendship. We've been through some stuff. I read the manifesto, it's intense. That's one word for it. For what it's worth, she's really different now, more grounded. I've noticed. We all hang out, play board games, order Thai food. It's refreshingly normal. Watching Rebecca interact with David is interesting. She's still enthusiastic and intense, but she's also listening more, letting him talk, not steamrolling conversations. Growth in real time. Vanessa pulls me aside later. She seems happy. Yeah, she does. You okay with that? Why wouldn't I be? I don't know. Complicated history and all. I want her to be happy. I was never the right person for that role. Mature answer. I've had a lot of practice being mature about this situation. Marcus overhears and laughs. Remember when you tried to hide behind the Barbie display at Target? We agreed to never speak of that. Everyone laughs and it feels good, like maybe we've all moved past the weirdness. A few weeks later, the manifesto gets optioned for a limited podcast series. Rebecca texts me freaking out. This is insane. Someone wants to adapt it. That's wild. Congratulations. They want to interview both of us for background context. I'm not sure I want to be more involved. I understand, but it would mean a lot if you participated. They're committed to telling both sides fairly. I think about it for a day. As Marcus says, might as well. You're already part of the story. Vanessa says it only if you're comfortable. Don't feel obligated. Carol says, as long as it doesn't affect your work, I don't care. Helpful range of opinions. I agree to do one interview for the podcast series. The producer is different from Lauren. His name is Brett, and he has that NPR voice. We want this to be a nuanced exploration of modern dating, loneliness, and the complexity of friendship. Sounds ambitious. We're not trying to make Rebecca look bad or you look like a saint. We want authenticity. I appreciate that. The interview goes well. I talk about my perspective. Rebecca does her interview separately, talking about her growth. They also interview some of her forum friends, a relationship expert, and Marcus for additional context. Actually, Marcus tells me his interview is mostly about what it's like watching your friends go through weird internet drama. I told them you handled it better than most people would have. Did you tell them about the Barbie display incident? Obviously. The podcast series comes out 6 months later. It's called The Manifesto, a story of friendship, boundaries, and modern loneliness. It's actually good. They handle the subject matter thoughtfully. Episode 3 features my interview, and I don't sound like an idiot, which is a relief. The series gets decent reviews. People appreciate the balanced approach. Rebecca and I listened to it together over Discord, providing commentary. They made us sound way more dramatic than we actually were, she says. That's podcast for you. Everything needs narrative tension. True, but I'm glad they didn't vilify either of us. Same. We finish the series and sit in comfortable silence for a moment. We've come a long way, she says. Yeah, we have. Thank you for sticking with me through all this chaos. Thank you for eventually understanding why it was chaos. We both laugh. Life continues moving forward. I get promoted to assistant manager at Target, which comes with a small office and slightly less customer interaction. Rebecca gets accepted to a graduate program in counseling psychology. Her relationship with David is solid. They move in together. Marcus finally stops talking about crypto and gets really into vintage video games instead. Vanessa starts dating someone seriously for the first time in years. We all still hang out regularly. The friend group has stabilized. 1 year after the book release. But Rebecca invites me to a small celebration dinner. It's at a nice Italian place, the kind with cloth napkins and wine lists. She's there with David. Marcus brings his new girlfriend. Vanessa comes with her partner. What are we celebrating? I ask. 1 year since the manifesto was published, I wanted to commemorate it with the people who matter most. We order too much food and drink too much wine. Rebecca stands up with her glass. I want to make a toast. This past year has been the most transformative of my life. I published a book, started therapy, fell in love, and learned that being vulnerable doesn't mean being perfect. Everyone raises their glasses. Thank you all for supporting me, especially James, who had every right to walk away but chose to stay. I raise my glass. To growth, to friendship, yet into moving forward. We all drink, and the moment feels significant. Later that night, I'm walking to my car when Rebecca catches up to me. Can I ask you something? Sure. Do you think we would have gotten here without all the drama? I think about it. Honestly, probably not. Sometimes people need to hit rock bottom before they can climb back up. Was the manifesto my rock bottom? Maybe. Or maybe it was the catalyst that led to your actual rock bottom, which led to real change. That's depressingly insightful. I've had a lot of time to think about it. She hugs me, proper goodbye hug, not the desperate ones from before. I'm really glad we're friends. Me too. I drive home listening to the radio, thinking about how weird life can be. A year ago, I was hiding from my ex-friend behind toy displays. Yet now I'm an assistant manager with a podcast appearance and a strange claim to internet fame. My phone buzzes. It's a message from an unknown number. Hi, I read the manifesto and wanted to reach out. I don't respond, just delete it. Some patterns don't need to repeat. The next day at work, Tyler asked me about the dinner. How was the manifesto anniversary? Surprisingly normal, just friends hanging out. That's good. You deserve normal. We all deserve normal. Carol overhears and adds, normal is overrated, but peace is underrated. Surprisingly wise from someone who once fired an employee for eating too many free samples. Months continue passing, the manifesto becomes less and less relevant. Rebecca occasionally mentions it in the context of her growth journey, but it's not her entire identity anymore. She's building a life that's fuller and more balanced. David proposes to her on a hiking trip. She sends me a photo of the ring. I'm getting married. That's amazing, congratulations. I want you at the wedding. You're important to me. I'll be there. The wedding is small, held in a botanical garden, very Pinterest aesthetic. I'm not in the wedding party, but I'm seated with the close friends. Watching Rebecca get married is surreal after everything we've been through. She looks genuinely happy, not manic or performative, just content. During the reception, she finds me at the bar. Thank you for coming. Wouldn't miss it. I know things were really weird for a long time. Were is doing a lot of work in that sentence. She laughs. Fair, but we made it through. Yeah, that counts for something. It counts for a lot, actually. David comes over and shakes my hand. Thanks for being a good friend to my wife. She speaks very highly of you. She's lucky to have you. I'm lucky to have her, even with all the intensity. They're a good match. I leave the wedding feeling something like closure. The manifesto saga is truly over. We've all moved on, but carried the lessons with us. 2 years after the book release, I'm living in a better apartment, dating someone casually, and genuinely enjoying my job. The manifesto occasionally comes up in conversation when people Google my name, but it's become a footnote rather than my defining characteristic. Rebecca has her master's degree now and is working as a therapist specializing in relationship issues. The irony is not lost on anyone. But we get coffee every few months, catch up on life, no drama. Marcus is engaged, Vanessa is thriving at her new job, everyone's doing their thing. One random day I get an email from a college student writing a thesis on internet culture and boundary violation in memoir. She wants to interview me about being featured in the manifesto. I politely decline but send her some resources about consent and storytelling. I've learned that I don't owe anyone my story just because it intersected with something public. That night I think about everything that happened, the chaos, the growth, the unexpected outcomes. Would I change it if I could? Maybe I'd set better boundaries earlier. Maybe I'd communicate more clearly from the start. But ultimately, the experience taught me things I couldn't have learned any other way. About friendship, boundaries, about the complexity of human need and the importance of being willing to walk away from situations that don't serve you. Rebecca learned her own lessons about emotional regulation, healthy attachment, and the difference between documenting life and living it. We're both better for having gone through it, even though it sucked while it was happening. I text Rebecca. Remember when you wrote a manifesto about me? She responds. Unfortunately, yes. Why are you bringing this up? Just thinking about how far we've come. We've come very far, thank God. Agreed. You know what's funny? What? I'm helping a client right now who's struggling with similar issues I had, and I can actually help her because I've been there. That's good. Full circle moment. Yeah, And it turns out rock bottom can lead to purpose if you're willing to do the work. Look at you being wise. I learned from the best, aka my therapist, not you. Fair. We say goodnight and I close my phone. Life is good, not perfect, but good. I have decent job, good friends, my own space, and the wisdom that comes from surviving something weird. The Manifesto exists somewhere in the Internet archive, a time capsule of a specific moment in both our lives. Sometimes people still find it and reach out. I've stopped responding. The story's been told enough times. Now I'm just James, assistant manager at Target, regular guy who once accidentally became a symbol in someone else's journey. And honestly, I'm okay with that. Marcus texts. Want to grab drinks this weekend? Yeah, I'm free Saturday. Cool. Let's go to that new place downtown. Sounds good? Normal plans with normal friends living normal lives. Exactly what I wanted all along. I close my laptop, heat up some leftovers, put on a show I've been meaning to watch. Tomorrow I'll go to work, deal with customers, manage my team, live my life. The Manifesto is behind me. Just another weird thing that happened in my 20s. A story I'll probably tell at parties when I'm older, and people ask about my most surreal experience. For now, though, it's just part of my history, not my present. And that feels like the right place for it to be. That feeling when your friend wrote a 127-page manifesto about you, it got published, caused internet drama, taught you both important life lessons, and somehow you ended up closer for it, despite everything.